Welcome to the Astrology Show with your host, Kelly Fox. Each week, Kelly will give you access to the current transits that are a valuable tool which provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has through our sun sign. Understanding the current planetary influences each week can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. Sometimes, events in your life may seem completely random, but there is a pattern to the order of these events, one set in motion in part by you, and in part by the planets and stars in the sky and their influence on your life here on Earth. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, if you're going to get that promotion, move to a new city, or fall in love, tune in to the Astrology Show for guidance. It can help you anticipate problems before they occur, give you tools to cope with changes, and help you look forward to the wonderful days ahead. Kelly Fox is a professional astrologer and internet pioneer who launched astrology.com, one of the first and most successful astrology websites. Today, her passion lies with her new site, theastrologer.com, where she brings a modern-day approach to an ancient wisdom. Please join Kelly each week to learn more about how the planets can align for you.
Hi there, and welcome to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox. Have you seen the supermoon tonight? If not, you must, because it is 30% brighter than a regular moon and 14% bigger. And I'm so excited. I cannot wait after the show to go outside and go to a very high point and look up at the moon. I cannot wait. So this is a super moon we have tonight, or to be precise, it was 5:52 a.m. Pacific time, 8:52 a.m. Eastern time this morning. The exact moment of this super full moon in Taurus. So it's going to be an extraordinary sight, or not going to be, it is an extraordinary sight for sky watchers. But what does make this full moon so special? Well, technically we say that this full moon is at its perigee, or the closest point to the Earth during its orbit. So that makes it bigger, brighter, better. And it's the biggest and brightest supermoon to rise in almost 69 years. And that is since 1948. And here's another tidbit of information. This full moon won't come close to this Earth again until November 25th, 2034, which sounds like way, way, way into the future. It is, but this is just to give you an idea of how unusual tonight's super moon is. It doesn't happen very often, so this is definitely a time to just not just look out the window, but go outside and have a look at this giant super moon, which is very interesting because the moon in astrology is all about emotions and feelings, and this past week there has been a lot of emotions and feelings, not just in the US but from people all over the world. So the supermoon reflects the way people are feeling because it's in Taurus, Taurus being a fixed sign. Fixed opinions can be quite stubborn. So you might find that people, you might be coming up against people with this super full moon in Taurus, and people getting stuck in their opinions. A word that pops into my head when I think of a Taurus full moon is obstinate. So we have our beautiful full moon at perigee, which means that it's orbiting closer to the Earth than usual. And the reason why this is different, like every month when we have a full moon, the moon is going to be at different distances to the Earth because the moon does not orbit in a perfect circle. And that is the reason why at the moment it's closer than usual, because last month it was further away than what it is tonight. And also the surface of the Earth is about 70% ocean water, which not only affects the moon's orbital pattern, but in turn creates tidal variations on the Earth. So slightly higher tides are expected around this supercharged full moon. And it's interesting that was it yesterday we had on the South Island of New Zealand an earthquake, which was a magnitude of 7.8 and triggered a tsunami. So that's very interesting that the moon is the closest it's been to the Earth in such a long time, and we have a tsunami. So apparently since the earthquake tsunami in New Zealand on the South Island, visitors and residents have been grappling with a series of aftershocks, including several at magnitudes of 6.0 or higher, which is nearly as much as the original earthquake in New Zealand. So that's very fascinating. Hopefully some people didn't survive that earthquake, and hopefully there won't be any more at this time around this supercharged moon. So we've got a super full moon in Taurus, and Taurus is typically the sign of money. So this is most certainly a time where if you're looking at finances or even your possessions and what you can do with those, it's a time for making long-term plans around finances or possessions. It's also an interesting time of self-worth, because Taurus is connected to the second house in astrology, and the second house is money, possessions, but it's also self-worth, which is always really fascinating because typically people have possessions, and I'm thinking of just a cliche example of a red sports car or a Corvette. And sometimes, our self-worth is wrapped into what we have or what we own. So with this supercharged Taurus full moon, it's about what we have and what we own and what's ours. It's basically what's mine is mine. And so this is also a time for a period of fulfillment when we can see the benefits of our monetary strategies, particularly anything long-term, because as I said, this full moon's in Taurus. Taurus is a fixed sign, and so fixed signs are very good with any sort of long-term strategies or thoughts. Also at this time, there could be some additional unexpected benefits that may be revealed. Some of us might have some extra cash in hand, specifically the earth signs, and that's Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. This is a very good financial time for the earth signs. Some of us might even want to splurge a little bit on ourselves, because Taurus is the sign of, I want to say it's the sign of splurging, but that's not really quite accurate. But Taurus does like to spoil itself and those that they love. And so this is a nice time to take care of yourself. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is the planet of love and money. So this is a time to splash out a bit if you can afford it, of course. Also at this time, even though it is a super moon, so there is a bit of an exception. It means that there's more intensity going on at this time with this supercharged full moon. But typically the energy of Taurus is quite chill. People are a little bit more relaxed. If you think of the symbol of Taurus, the bull, Bulls are usually quite, I want to say placid until somebody waves a red flag, and then they're not. So if you are a Taurus or you have any bulls in your life, think about their placid, congenial nature until there is a red flag, and then things change quite quickly. Sort of like going from 0 to 60 pretty fast. But typically, the energy of Taurus is quite grounded as an earth sign, quite relaxed. We can appreciate at this time the finer things in life. It's a nice time to go out with friends or your significant other to a fabulous restaurant, have some culinary delights. Taurus likes to have a full tummy, likes to have the finer things in life, 5-star restaurant, things like that. Try not to overindulge, which can happen sometimes with this type of energy where it's very intense with the influence of Taurus. It's important at this time, though, especially because it's a full moon. Pay attention to what you're attracting in your life at this time. Full moons are typically a time of projection. So sometimes if you're not liking somebody's behavior during a full moon, sometimes they're just projecting back to you the behaviors within yourself that you might not quite own or like. On that note, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned after the break when I continue with this week's planetary energy.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news, Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi there, and welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, talking about the supermoon, the super full moon we have tonight. Super full moon in Taurus. If you have not seen it, go out and have a look. It is much closer to the Earth than usual, 14% closer and 30% brighter. Can't wait to get out there after the show and have a good proper look. So the Taurus full moon is typically a time of finances and knowing your own self-worth. It's great for the earth signs, and that's Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And Taurus is very much a sensual sign. So anything that you can do to heighten your senses, this is a great use of this energy. And I was just thinking as well, Taurus is the sign of gardening. And I do advise people who do have a lot of Taurus energy in their charts, get out there and put your hands in the dirt. Gardening is wonderful. Anything that connects you to the earth, this is wonderful for everybody at this time. Get in touch with nature. Anything that you can do to, I say spoil yourself, but that's not really the right word. Anything you can do to maybe pamper yourself, a massage or anything that gets you back in touch with your body is a wonderful use of this energy with the Taurus supermoon. But watch, the word of caution with this influence is watch for the tendency to use money to determine power in your interactions with others, or watch that somebody's not doing that with you, because Taurus is one of the signs of money, and particularly when it's during this full moon, everything's intense and supercharged. So look out for that. And I said before the break that Taurus is a fixed sign, which means it can be very stubborn, obstinate, and at this time, some people might tend to dig in their heels when faced with the need to step aside or change course. So there's a bit of unrest, or a lot of unrest at the moment from last week's events, and people are definitely digging in their heels with their ideals. And sometimes there will be clashes of ego with this influence. The negative or the shadow side of this influence is being obstinate, or a clash of ideas, and who's going to dig their heels in for the longest and the hardest. And Taurus is a fixed earth sign, which it's all about stability. Some people that could be dull, but stability is always a good thing. So some of us might be a bit of a stick in the mud with this influence. But as I mentioned, Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is the love planet. It's all about sensuality and pleasure loving. And so this would be a nice use of this energy of the Taurus supermoon to do something to pamper yourself with. Now, how does this supermoon affect your sign? Well, if you're an Aries, the supermoon at this time is all about money for you. It's all about like possessions and money, and what's yours is yours. So full moons always project an air of full moons have an air of projection. So it's like looking into a mirror and having somebody behave in a way that you might normally behave, or how other people see you. So it's a good time, especially now, because this moon it seems to have more influence on the earth at the moment because it's closer. So this is definitely a good time to review your ideas and values around money. And if you're a Taurus, then this is your super full moon. And so this for you is about the spotlight being on you. It's about your appearance, your individuality. It's like Taurus, this is the time when you're in the spotlight and other people are looking at you, perhaps more than normal because of this stronger influence of this super full moon. If you're a Gemini, this is all about heightened intuition. Pay attention to your dreams at this time, because the moon is also the ruler of emotions and the subconscious. So going with gut instinct is a good idea with this influence. It's also about dealing with institutions and larger organizations. So it could be quite frustrating, full moon, dealing with red tape and bureaucracy. If you are a Cancer, this is about friends and groups and acquaintances, online, offline. It's all about, during this supercharged full moon, connecting with like-minded people. If you're a Leo, for you, this is a time for career. It's a time when you will be recognized for your achievements, prestige. People will respect your authority. It's a time to get on with the boss, not to challenge anybody that's higher up at your workplace. If you're a Virgo, this is a time to connect with people from far away or foreign places. This is a time where if you're looking to travel or book travel, this is a great time to do that. Try not to get caught up with others' philosophies or values, because during this supercharged full moon, that could get quite tangled at this time. If you're a Libra, this is about money for you as well, but it's not just your personal money. It's about money that you share with others, money or possessions you share with others with this super full moon. If you're a Scorpio, this is about relationships. So this supercharged full moon will highlight and illuminate your relationships. And I'm talking primarily your significant other, but also any sort of business partnerships that you have or any type of agreements. And it might be a little bit difficult because the full moon represents people standing opposite each other or standing opposed. So if you're looking to sign an agreement and you can't really agree with your business partner, give it some time, give it a little bit of time for the full moon to wane. So in a few days, you might actually come to a compromise. If you're a Sagittarius, this is a wonderful time to focus on health, diet, and fitness, your daily routines. It's a good time to get in shape because the moon being in a fixed sign, the sun being in a fixed sign, you'll have a better chance of sticking with a goal for the long term, particularly around health and diet and fitness. If you're a Capricorn, lucky you, this highlights and illuminates your love life, romance, courtship, entertainment, amusements, any sort of involvement with children, anything that brings you pleasure. If you are an Aquarian, the focus for you with this supercharged full moon will be on home and family. You might be thinking about renovation or repair, even anything to do with parents and ancestors. If you wanted to trace your family tree, wanted to do some DNA testing, now would be the time to do it. And finally, if you're a sweet Pisces, for you, this is about communication. So communication will be very important at this time. If you're looking to learn something or take a class or a course, this is a wonderful time to do so. Also, taking a short trip and any sort of involvement with siblings or neighbours could be highlighted under this supercharged full moon. Let's take a look at the other astrological influences of the week. Of course, the supercharged full moon was the main event. On Tuesday, we have Mercury sextile Mars. Well, that's good news. Mercury is a planet of communication and Mars is a planet of action. A sextile aspect is when two or more planets are approximately 60 degrees apart, and it brings opportunity. So with Mercury forming a sextile to Mars this week, it's an excellent time for communication and any sort of mental work of any type where you have to use your brain. And it's not just pontificating, it's actually putting thoughts into action is basically the way to sum up this aspect. It's like we can expect quick-witted, delightful conversations. Usually is what happens with this influence. Some of us might feel very busy under this type of energy. So we might be quite busy this week. We're more inclined to fill up our schedules with many different tasks and activities. It's good to make lists when we have so much going on, where we can feel a growing sense of accomplishment as we cross one item off after another. Our mind and our motivation meld at this time when Mercury forms a sextile to Mars, and helping others to feel collected, energetic, and directed. Also, there could be a certain competitive feeling that can incline us to strive to outperform others, but beyond a friendly game of words with friends, it's best to compete only with ourselves. Also, working with others is conducive to great productivity, so team efforts will be rewarded, and bouncing ideas off each other this week is a great use of this energy, especially with this supercharged full moon, because anything that we come up with, anything that we brainstorm, not only will it be put into action, but possibly for the long term with the influence of the full moon. Many of us might speak with great conviction now, so we can be quite convincing. So building a case for something meaningful is an excellent way to direct this energy of when Mercury forms a sextile to Mars. And on that note, we will take a short break, so stay tuned to hear more about the week's events after the break.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Spiritual, metaphysical, green living, psychic, alternative healing, life coaching. Do any of these or similar terms apply to your business or cause? If so, you are in a niche market with a very specific audience. Conscious Gate PR is the world's leading conscious public relations agency. With a global reach of over 4 million and growing, we offer comprehensive media campaigns to our targeted market. Learn more at consciousgatespr.com. Conscious marketing for conscious minds.
Join Vibe Nation radio host, international psychic medium Carrie Turcotte, as she guides her listeners to rediscover themselves by accessing the keys of knowledge that already exist within. Each week's show is divinely orchestrated to intertwine with the universal energies, allowing the listeners to go deeper within. At the end of each show, Carrie will tap into the energies of the listeners and give a message from Spirit about the upcoming week. If you really want to get to know who you truly are, join Carrie each Monday at 3 p.m. on Vibe Nation Radio.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi there, and welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox. Have you seen the super full moon tonight? The super full moon in Taurus. If not, go and have a look. It's 14% closer to the Earth and 30% brighter. I can't wait to go out and look at it after the show tonight. So just before the break, I was talking about the super full moon, and also tomorrow we have communication planet Mercury forming a really good sextile to action planet Mars. On Friday, Mercury, same planet of communication, is going to be forming a square to Neptune. So Mercury is all about communication and thinking. A square is a challenge. And Neptune, I'm going to talk about in just a moment. Nebulous Neptune is what I call it. Anytime there's a square, it always offers a challenge. So overall, Mercury square Neptune on Friday brings fuzzy thinking. And so on one hand, earlier in the week, we've got clear thoughts, putting thoughts into action. And then as the end of the week draws near, we might be feeling irritable or annoyed without understanding the reason for it. Maybe tired, things don't make sense. When you've got Mercury forming a square to Neptune, it can be quite a trickster influence. Just little things. It's like smaller things will bother us. Things we might ordinarily just let go. Miscommunication, most definitely, with this influence is very likely. So it's really important this week that we be as clear as possible, but still know and have the patience for that we might have to explain ourselves still. When something seems very clear to us, it might not be clear to our listener. Don't always trust the source this week. Gather information, research, do some fact finding. And this is definitely not the week to be swayed by pretty words and empty promises. These will be revealed for what they are once this transit is over, so as quickly as next week. And under no circumstances sign on the dotted line until we fully understand what we are signing. This is really important. This influence, Mercury square Neptune, it's not like a Mercury retrograde, but it has the same misunderstanding or confusion wrapped around it. And some of us might find that we might be missing some vital information, and our discrimination might be at an all-time low. So with this influence, we're all too easily misled and deceived. Some of us might be feeling vague or nebulous, disorganized perhaps. There could be some hypersensitivity. And I'm saying this more so because I'll cover it in just a moment, but Neptune is about to turn direct on Saturday. So the energy of this square, Mercury square Neptune, is heightened because Neptune is about to change direction. But before I talk about that, on Saturday, Venus forms a sextile to Neptune. So that's a very nice influence for romance. If you are going on a date, particularly a first date, it's very nice. It's sort of like not running through the tulips, but having a pink cloud around you, I guess is the way to describe it. None of us are going to feel particularly disciplined under this influence. So let's not be too hard on ourselves. Many of us might be feeling passive and receptive rather than active or assertive like we might be earlier this week with that Mercury forming a sextile to Mars. So instead of having plans this weekend around working, it might be best to think of doing something creatively, like creative expression, which is highlighted, art, music, nature, romance. And this will become more apparent when I start talking about Neptune turning direct in a minute. But, things like what comes to my mind, my visualization around this Venus-Neptune transit is soft lights, quiet music, nothing too loud or jarring. Some of us might be a little bit too easily influenced right now, enchanted by images and perhaps distracted by glamour. Fantasies will be far more compelling than reality. So it might be all too tempting to live in that ideal dream world than deal with the everyday mundane details of our lives. And for those of us in relationships, we feel tender and affectionate toward our partners, and these emotions are returned sweetly. Single people might find themselves imagining the perfect partner and perhaps even seeking that person out. But don't run off to Vegas till next week when reality has set in. Moving right along on that note, also on Saturday, our final astrological influence of the week is Neptune turning direct. What does that mean? Well, the planets in their orbit around the sun move around the sun at varying speeds. So they don't always move at the same pace. They do change their speed. And so from our perspective here on Earth, the planets slow down. They slow down so much so that they look like they're moving backwards around the sun. Technically, the planets do not move backwards. They just appear to move backwards. So astrologers like to call this motion retrograde. And so anytime you hear that a planet is retrograde, typically the energy of that planet is meant to be reversed or slowed down as well. So right now we are in a period of stationary. So Neptune is currently stationary, which is quite potent. So the energies of Neptune at this time are very potent, and I will tell you about that in a moment. But the planets all move retrograde at different times. Neptune has been retrograde in Pisces since June 13th. So the outer planets tend to stay retrograde for months at a time. It's not usually significant when an outer planet is in its retrograde motion. What is significant are these stationary periods just before the outer planet or any planet is about to turn retrograde or just before it's about to turn direct. And what is that time period, or what is the shadow or the stationary period? It depends on the planet. Typically with an outer planet, it would be a couple of weeks. And it's interesting because Neptune is the planet of illusion and can be quite confusing with events that happen around the stationary period. Again, highlighting the events of last week with the election and having, for some people, you know, the polls were so certain that one of the candidates was a surefire win, where the other candidate actually is the winner. And that was definitely a Neptune influence. It's like confusion. We think something's real when it's not, type of thing. So Neptune, and I'll give you some keywords in a moment around Neptune. But as I said, Neptune has been retrograde since June 13th. It spends about 14 years in each sign, which means that it has a cycle of about 165 years. And just to give you an idea, the last time Neptune was in Pisces was April 1847 through February 1862. And the next time Neptune will be in Pisces will be the year 2176. That sounds like a sci-fi type of movie. It sounds so far out in the future. I mean, I know it is, but really far out. So Neptune is often called the planet of illusion because it rules all things illusionary, like the intangible, the ethereal, the abstract, and the elusive. Dreams and fantasy fall within this planet's realms, as do spirituality and idealism. That's really interesting because I said that we are now in a potent time with Neptune in the stationary period of Neptune. Neptune is also, it's, as I said, it's the ruler of dreams. This is a really important time to pay attention to your dreams. And not just for Gemini, as I mentioned before in the show with this full moon, but for everybody with Neptune turning direct. And let me just say, okay, especially if you're a Gemini then, because this supercharged full moon is triggering your house of the subconscious and dreams, so more so for you. And it's easier to understand Neptune if you think of it in terms of that which can't be defined. What does that mean? Well, that's exactly it. That's what Neptune's all about. It's like things that are changeable, that are intangible, that don't have any discernible boundaries, that you can't quite put your finger on. It's sort of like when I think of the energy that we're in right now with this Neptune stationary period, it's like you can't quite put your finger on it. And sometimes if you get the feeling like, I wanted to say something, or I feel like I've forgotten something, but I really can't remember what that is, or something's on the tip of my tongue and I just can't think of what it was going to be. These are the sort of things that go on during this stationary period with Neptune. This planet can make your day pleasant as well, with daydreams, fantasy. It's a good energy to plan things with, definitely not just thinking outside the box, but dreaming big. So we're going to take a short break. After the break, I will continue with Neptune turning direct and what that means. So stay tuned.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millicers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Welcome back to The Dog Show. Up next we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch-snuggling, ball-chasing, face-licking, and, of course, companionship. Now, let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive, and now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance will come in with this group.
But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer Kelly Fox. And just before the break, I was talking about Neptune. Neptune is the planet of illusion, glamour, deception. I don't like to use these negative keywords, but everything has a shadow side. It's also the ruler of arts, music, photography, fashion, glamour, anything Hollywood, charity, water, institutions, drugs, alcohol. It rules the intangible, anything that we can't quite see, so I call it nebulous Neptune. And I am going to cover in a moment the last time Neptune was in Pisces, because it's currently in Pisces, and so it's in its own sign. Neptune rules Pisces, so it's in its own sign at the moment, so there's a double emphasis on those keywords that I just mentioned. But the last time Neptune was in Pisces was 1847 through 1862, and it has a cycle of 165 years. And I did some research, and I was really curious to find out what happened when Neptune was in Pisces, and I did discover some really fascinating things. And so Neptune is the planet of illusion because it does rule things that are illusionary or the intangible. It's also daydreams and, a sense of, have you ever had a time where you might have fallen asleep? This sounds really interesting and weird, but I bring it up now because anything is possible, that we are in this time where a potent period of Neptune about to change direction. So have you ever fallen asleep and had a dream only to find that when you woke up that you just couldn't be certain whether you imagined it or if it was real or not? I know that sounds odd, but it's happened to me, and I've heard it happen to other people. It's sort of like, did that really happen to me or not? Or you have a memory and maybe you can't remember if it was reality or if you actually had dreamed what had gone on. Well, that represents like the very fine curtain of Neptune. It's sort of like drifting slyly between reality and fantasy and blurring the lines between the two. Neptune can make life more pleasant and more difficult because there's misunderstandings or confusion that's associated with this planet. So be careful this week, especially with the hard Mercury square to Neptune when Neptune's about to change direction. Don't take anything at face value. Check the facts. It's really, really important with this influence. There might be someone who could capitalize on our vulnerability at this time. Neptune is a planet of compassion, helping others. It's charitable. So, getting taken advantage of because some of us are helpers, not mentioning any sign names, Pisces, but you really do like to help others, and sometimes people can take advantage of that. Our intuitive skills are heightened at this time with the influence of Neptune, and it's also a very romantic energy as well. As I said, Neptune rules Pisces, so it's happy with this sign. And Neptune is an outermost planet. It spends, as I said, in one sign for 14 years, which is a long time, a very long time. It's retrograde in its orbit about 43% of the time. But as I said, the stationary points, which we're in right now, are very important. So as I mentioned, I did some research because I just like to know stuff, I guess. And what happened the last time Neptune was in Pisces? Now, astrology is all about cycles. And if we can look back to see what's happened in the past, it might help us understand the future better under certain influences. So the last time Neptune was in Pisces was April 1847 through February 1862. And the following things occurred when Neptune was in Pisces. The United States issued its first postage stamps. The Irish potato famine occurred. And I know some of you might be thinking, what has this got to do with Neptune and Pisces? But believe me, it's everything to do with the energy of Neptune in Pisces at that time and how it got represented through astrology. Neptune in Pisces, this is what happened during this time, last time that Neptune was in Pisces. We also had the California gold rush. Elizabeth Blackwell becomes the first female doctor. James Knox Polk becomes the first president of the United States to have his photograph taken. American Express is founded. And Europeans make up 22% of the world population. The first protected submarine telegraph cable is laid across the English Channel. The novel Moby Dick is published. Great Ormond Street Hospital for sick children in London admits its first patient. And, of course, Neptune and Pisces rules institutions. The first boat race between Yale and Harvard occurs. Pisces rules water, Neptune, Pisces. The first public aquarium opens at London Zoo. And the American and German piano manufacturer Steinway and Sons is founded. It's about music. And major streets are lit by coal gas for the first time. And the world's first oil well is drilled in Poland. And, an epidemic of cholera in London kills about 10,000 people, which is traced back to one single water pump. The Opium Wars occur. The French fashion label Louis Vuitton was founded. The birth of the chemical industry starts, and of course chemicals are ruled by Neptune. And New York banks close for 2 months following a major financial panic. Divorce becomes legal in Britain. Hollywood is founded. And finally, I thought this fact was really interesting considering what is going on at the moment. The Civil War started, and here's hoping this does not happen again with the current political unrest. Very fascinating indeed. So we have this energy of Neptune in Pisces. Neptune is about to turn direct on Saturday. We are in a very potent period of time called a stationary period when the planets appear to change direction. Now for your weekly horoscope. If you're an Aries, finances are likely to either rise or fall this week, but the full supermoon urges you to stay calm. Nothing lasts forever, so enjoy any upswing, but don't get too distressed over a downswing. Soon the wheel will turn again. And I just mentioned life is about cycles. Astrology helps us to understand the cycles of life. If you're a Taurus, put yourself first. Your supermoon, full moon is in your own sign, warns that you've spent too long looking after others and sacrificing your own needs. Be sure that what you do now is for your own benefit first and foremost. If you're a Gemini, thoughtful self-analysis will be helpful if you want to move past a blockage in your life. There are reasons why things are panning out this way, and your own behavior has a lot to do with it. Seek answers during the full moon. If you remember back earlier, I had said your intuition is turbocharged at this time with not just the full moon of today, but also on Saturday with Neptune, the planet of intuition and psychic ability, turning direct. If you're a Cancer, reach out to those who share similar goals, values, and aspirations. The full moon teaches you that we are stronger together. You'll achieve much more now with the cooperation of others than you could hope to achieve alone. If you're a Leo, a tricky career issue makes you wonder if you're on the right path after all. Don't abandon your goals, but do use the full moon's energy to check that you really do want to head in the direction you have set for yourself. If you're a Virgo, different belief systems are inspiring as the full moon broadens your mind and encourages you to seek new experiences. You'll be fascinated by someone whose upbringing or culture is very different to your own. If you're a Libra, Your thinking is stuck in the past and old patterns of behaviour are holding you back. If you always do what you've always done, nothing will ever change. Think about making a break with tradition this full moon week. If you're a Scorpio, what does your partner need from you right now? This full moon week is all about what support you can offer. If you're single, offer practical or emotional support to close friends and family instead. If you're a Sagittarius, you know those items which have languished on your to-do list since the year dot, get them done now. The full moon encourages you to tie up loose ends and to finish what you started, even if it's not a great deal of fun. If you're a Capricorn, drama in your love life may leave you elated or anguished. Either way, the full moon vibes bring doses of passion, anger, or both. It's a potentially tumultuous week, so try not to bottle up your emotions. If you're an Aquarian, family is key this week, and the full moon energies are all about creating a stable, loving home life. Get back in touch with distant relatives and build bridges with difficult family members. And finally, if you're a Pisces, whatever you want to say, now is the time to shout it out loud. The full moon vibes encourage open, honest and transparent communication, even where the topic in hand is sensitive or controversial. That's it for the astrology show for tonight. I'm your host, Kelly Fox. You can visit me at theastrologer.com and tune in for next week's show. Looking forward to it and enjoy that super moon tonight.